like to call the Goodyear Planning and Zoning Commission to order. If you'd please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, will the Commission Secretary please note tonight's attendance, or lack thereof? Does anyone have any corrections or alterations to last month's meeting minutes? Otherwise, I will take Commission action to approve the minutes.
I move we approve the minutes of last meeting.
Okay, I've got a motion from Commissioner Williams and a second from Commissioner Short. All those in favor? Please say aye. Opposed? All right, so ordered. All right. Would either of the two of you like to talk about anything other than on the agenda this evening? Okay, very good. Any disclosure of ex parte communication?
No,
I am
sir.
doubting that since the applicant declined to even attend tonight's meeting that he wanted to discuss this individually with us. But okay, no disclosure. On to new business, case 12-500-00002, request for a preliminary plat for Estrella Phase 1. And I will open the public hearing. Katie?
Thank you, Chairman and members of the Commission. This is a request for a preliminary plat for Estrella Phase 1, parcels 12.37, 12.39, 12.40, and 12.41. These parcels are located just east of Estrella Parkway and south of Elliott Road, right along here, east of the lakes. The plat proposes subdividing 51 acres into 188 single-family lots and 10 tracts. The pre-plat was previously approved by City Council on October 25th, 2010. Since a pre-plat is only valid for 12 months and only one 6-month extension may be approved, this plat is expired, and so the pre-plat must be reapproved in order to go forward in the development process. Since the original approval, there have been no changes to the subdivision regulations, engineering design guidelines, city design guidelines, or other city codes that might affect this preliminary plat. The preliminary plat is consistent with the land use, development standards, and density approved by the Estrella Phase 1 PAD amendment for parcels 12.37, 12.39, 12.40, and 12.41. And so staff recommends that Planning and Zoning Commission forward a recommendation of approval to City Council for the preliminary plat. So I can take any questions at this time.
Okay, do you have any indication from the applicant what their timetable for actually developing this area might be?
Thank you. We don't have a solid timetable from them. And so basically this plat would be valid for another year. They could request from City Council an extension of that by 6 months, but otherwise they'd have to come before this body again and reapprove it if they go beyond that 18 months.
Did we not during this time have some issues with the development agreement or the Half Street improvements? As I recall, I mean, are those still, I thought we had reached an agreement at the time, and
Chairman Lux, yes, we did. And those were addressed in the stipulations that were attached to the zoning and will be further addressed and enforced with the final plats.
thank you. Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, just to do a renewal like this, do you need to treat this just like a new application and post and advertise, and we did all that? I mean, this is not to give anybody from the public or a resident of the area a chance to notice that something was going on.
Chairman Lux, Commissioner Williams, with our subdivision plats, there is no public notice requirement, so it is not notified or or published. So there was not any additional notification in that regard. And this is being treated as a reapproval as opposed to an extension, as Katie noted. Due to the downturn in the economy and a number of subdivisions basically stalling out, you'll be seeing several more of these. Although the other two that we have coming forward, probably at the next month's meeting, did involve some minor change. Well, one involved, I would say, some minor changes. The other one had some more extensive changes, but they will both be presented for reapproval, and probably appropriately so.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? I don't have any questions, but I think it is a bit presumptuous for the applicant not even to show up tonight. And I mean, I think it would be helpful, because I don't want to have to do this again and again and again. I mean, I understand the downturn in the economy. I get it. But I mean, if they don't plan on doing anything in a year, I'd like to know that. I mean, maybe, I don't know if that matters to the rest of the commission or not. But I don't know. It seems to bother me a little.
Well, I agree with you. I'm disappointed the applicant didn't show up. I have no problem with the issue, to be honest, but I'm disappointed there seems to be a lack of interest on the part of the applicant.
But, Mr. Chairman and Commissioner Williams, I don't know that we know that for a fact, do we? Something could have happened, and he may not have been able to get a hold of us to tell us.
I
he couldn't
understand that.
attend. So,
I apologize that.
no, I just don't know that it's due to a lack of interest at this point. I do believe, though, that now that the city has come to terms with Newland on what has been referred to as the Northern Water Solutions Agreement, that there will be water available to Newland, and that they are starting to move forward on a number of plats. I think everybody is starting to see a little bit of improvement in the housing market, for which we're all grateful, and I think that we're going to start seeing some more movement in that direction. So I don't think that their intent is to process the plat, get it reapproved, and sit on it. If they get a buyer, I'm sure they'll move forward.
Very well.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend the council approve case number 12-500-00002, the preliminary plat for Estrella Phase 1 parcels 12.373940 and 41.
Right. Got a motion from Commissioner Williams.
Second.
And a second from Commissioner Hamilton. Any other commission comments? Well, we've had the motion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. We've recommended approval of case number 12-500-00002 with the commission disappointment that the applicant was not here to explain. I think I'll be more disappointed in a year. All right, moving on to the amendments to the commission rules of procedure.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I'll just present from here if that suits you. No? You want me up front?
Oh, no, absolutely. That's great.
Well, you're shaking your head. I was ready to get up there, so.
No,
thank you.
I was shaking my head. No, you don't have to get up. That's just fine.
All right. You may recall that back in February, we brought a draft of the rules to you. We did not ask you to take any action at that time because the legal department had not completed its review. Since that time, they have completed their review, and you have received a revised set of rules that we now have added the term bylaws to in order to conform to the reference to bylaws in the zoning ordinance. The changes that have been added since you saw the draft last are in blue, and they are either recommendations from the city attorney's office or just additional clarification. For example, one of them was in number 2, A2, where it's talked about members of the city council, city of Goodyear employees before it just said city employees, and we made it clear that it was really intended to be City of Goodyear employees, not if someone's employed with another city. So that was one change. And then as I said, the others that are predominantly were suggested by the city attorney's office. I don't believe that any of them were particularly significant, perhaps other than the one that said members of the city council cannot serve on the commission. And I think the intent behind that was that the attorney's office felt that since virtually all of the items that the commission acts upon in making a recommendation goes to the city council for final action, there would be a potential conflict of interest to sit on both the commission and the city council. So that they recommended that that be removed. Otherwise, aside from the previous comments regarding having to existing members to resubmit for interviews and or make an application and resubmit to the interview process, which we did not address in the rules. I think of the rest of the changes are fairly benign, and would ask for you to, once you have asked any questions, submit them to the city council with a recommendation for approval, or ratification, actually.
Joe, I have a question about the changes on A1 of the registered voter requirement. Is that something that is done now? I mean, or the ability for city council to waive that requirement?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, the council essentially approved this boards and commissions and committees handbook, which had certain minimum requirements for serving on a city board or commission. And basically it says that the handbook says that members of the planning, members of a commission should be a registered voter unless that requirement is waived at the time of the appointment of the members. So we basically put that in there to conform it to those rules. The city attorney's office added the proviso that the council had the authority to waive it at the time of the appointment. So that wasn't in there in the last draft, but has been added since.
Do we have any other questions for staff on this item?
Mr. Chairman, it did come to my attention that the section on the very last page, at the top of the page, it's the second half of paragraph B. It says the time schedule specified for retention of records is the City of Goodyear records retention disposal schedule for planning and zoning. I've been advised, subsequent to the agenda being put together, that is basically needs to be changed to conform to the requirements under state statutes. It used to be that we had our own retention schedule that we prepared pursuant to the state statutes, and then the state would look it over and say, yes, it conforms, it doesn't conform. Well, the state's not doing that anymore, I guess. They're out of that business. So it's incumbent upon us simply to conform it to the state statute. So I guess I should have asked you to consider making the recommendation with that change.
Yeah, okay. Well, I don't have an objection to that. That's again benign. All right. If there are no other questions, that was even easier than the one before. And the applicant showed up. So I will take commission action.
I move that the commission accept the City of Goodyear Planning and Zoning Commission bylaws and rules of procedure with the change to conform to the state requirements in terms of records retention and disposal schedule.
Right, I've got a motion from Commissioner Short
I'll second.
and a second from Commissioner Williams. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, so ordered. Yeah, apparently there's some other things. right, staff communications.
Just one last thing. I'll be getting a clean copy of this prepared and then looking for you, Mr. Chairman, to sign it. And then it'll go forward to the City Council for ratification.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks.
Is this on? Mr. Chairman, I do have an announcement. Last week, the city announced a reorganization, and as part of this reorganization, I'll be taking a different role in the city, a different position. So I'll no longer be in this director role and coming to Planning Commission meetings effective June 4th. However, you have Joe, who is very capable of handling the meetings, as well as Bobby and Katie and others. So it's been a pleasure working with you, and we've been blessed over my 20-some years at the city, over 20 years, having numerous really quality Planning Commission members and citizen commission members. Many of them have moved up to the City Council and mayor and elsewhere. That's what's made Goodyear so strong. I think that citizen involvement and citizens that volunteer their time to government is really is an outstanding quality. You'd probably rather be at home watching the NBA Finals or something else, or doing something else with family or friends. So you really to be congratulated for coming to these meetings. So thank you. I appreciate all your support. Thank you.
Well, I guess, I for one would like to say thank you very, very much. It's been very, very nice working with you. I've always appreciated your counsel and your dedication to the city, and I wish you well.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bob.
No, I'd like to sort of echo that. I think you've been a great steward for us and leading this. I certainly hope that in your new job, it's a promotion. Otherwise, I think the city is not using you in an appropriate fashion. And I will express my displeasure. But in all seriousness, Harvey, I certainly have appreciated you in my tenure here, and your wisdom and guidance for me and others has been outstanding, and I'll miss you, and we certainly wish you well in moving on, and hopefully you'll come see us a time
Thank
or
you.
two.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Anything else other than that depressing note?
Yeah, you want to talk about that?
Just to remind you about the ethics training that we need to do annually. So if you have any questions regarding that, please feel free to contact Bobby, and she'll walk you through whatever you need to do, and we'll get you everybody back up to speed in terms of the training requirement. I would also like to echo the remarks of the commission in terms of working with Harvey. He's a gentleman and a scholar, and has been a wonderful boss to work for, and we'll look forward to continuing to work with him in his new capacity, but we'll miss him in his prior role. So I know I speak for all the planning staff when I say that. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. All right. Well, then with no other,
You're looking for a motion to adjourn?
I'll just do it myself.
Okay.
Commission's adjourned.
Record time. Nice going, Sean.
I think 2 times ago.
Sit for a minute. Let me tell you what's going on.
I read it in the paper.
Eddie,
No.